It's really wonderful to be here. You're going to have to bear with me just a moment. I do quite a lot of presenting, but it's normally to people whose average age is quite a lot older than the assembled crowd I have here today. So because you're such a beautiful and good-looking crowd, I thought I'd take a picture. That's perfect. Can you do it for me one more time? Ready? And again. Okay, so the next time I do this, I'm going to take this picture and I'm going to say, this is what I want. Okay. There we go. Right, so this is not a picture of me when I was younger, and my brother, it's not. This is a picture of the hard at work innovation team inside DHL. Actually, it's not. It's just designed to give you the idea that your mind needs to be open. So I know you're all young people, but try and feel and think younger when you're talking about innovation. So today I'm going to talk about how we do it in DHL, and then I'm going to try and talk about some stuff that's very close to my heart, some personal experiences. When people think about innovation, they tend to think about technology, they tend to think about mobile phones and iPads and high-tech stuff, but innovation doesn't have to be about that. Anybody who was on the workshop, or my workshop at least this morning, I'm sure, found that. So where are the DHL Innovation Workshoppers? Can you put your hand up? Oh, what a good-looking bunch they are. Fantastic. Oh, very good. Very good. Okay, so what we do in DHL, basically, we have quite a simple vision. Our vision is we get the stuff that people want to the people who want it when they want it. So who here likes stuff? You have stuff? Some people don't appear to have stuff. That's interesting. but most people like stuff. So you can think of it as being quite a mundane business. It's about trucks and warehouses. We call them sheds inside DHL or aeroplanes. And you might think there's not a lot of room to innovate in that kind of industry. Well, actually, DHL doesn't innovate, but the people inside it do. And I'm going to give you some examples of that today. And I'll come and explain what they are. Now, we put some work into the thinking around innovation. I don't think this is hugely earth-shattering or new thinking on the subject. We try to use the best thinking that's out there that already exists. But it's important to bear that in mind. So innovation, very simply, the ability to deliver new value to a customer. Key word is there is new. It's not something the customer should be expecting. The customer expects DHL to ship his goods from one place to the other. He doesn't expect us to lose that stuff. But we can bring in extra value. We can do it faster than before. Or we can help him reduce his stock holding. Or we can give him information on the whereabouts or market type information on how his products are selling. This is added value that he wouldn't necessarily expect DHL to provide. Henry Ford said, if they'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. It's that unexpected bit. That's the bit that makes it innovation. I think this morning Carsten spoke to you about, what was the exact title, Carsten? I'm going to get the words right. New models of leadership. And I'm sure you all took some very heartfelt lessons away from that. In DHL, we have a leadership values. Those are what those head, heart, and guts are. Those are our stated leadership values. The values that we want our leaders to aspire to be. Again, nothing to give you an original impact, but for us, it's about making sure that we do the right thing. That's what the head is about. The heart is about making sure that we treat people in the right way when we're doing the right thing. And the guts is to have the courage to do the right thing. When you're innovating, it's particularly important to have guts, to have courage, because people won't necessarily be expecting it. Normally you're asking something up front. You want some investment up front. You want some faith up front. So having the courage to take that risk, that's key. So trying to get that culture in your organisation is very, very important to generating innovation. These factors along the top, this is the mantra of our innovation guys. We do have some dedicated resources in DHL who all they do is think about innovation, but their job is not to do innovation on behalf of the company. Their job is to be champions for innovation, to cheerlead innovation throughout the rest of the company. They want everybody in the organisation to be an innovator, and this is their mantra, this is their creed. They say this over and over and over again to as many people as they can say it to while they're facilitating innovation workshops and trying to encourage innovation in our country. Those of you who are on the workshop this morning will recognise this funnel up on the top right of the slide here. This is just about saying that innovation is really about ideas, and actually proper innovation is about good ideas. But the way you get a good idea is you start by having lots of ideas. So anybody who talks about innovation tends to talk about this funneling effect as we go along. You've got to fill the funnel. And in DHL, these are the various different ways of filling the funnel. Even an old-fashioned suggestion box scheme, many companies have that. That's a way of filling the funnel. But we also have web forums. I think John's going to talk a little bit later on about some of the entrepreneurship he's done, but he's got a social networking type tool. And we have one inside DHL. We also have something specifically aimed at generating ideas. And then we have customer innovation workshops where we work directly with the customer, all aimed at filling this pipe. So now I'm going to talk about two specific examples, particularly close to my heart. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the fact that lots of manufacturing happens in developing economies these days because of lower labour costs. That's the production cost savings up on the slide. You're probably a little bit less familiar with the business opportunity presented by holding stock in further east, normally, in looking economies, and then using that lower labour cost and that lower cost of storage and distributing it towards more developed economies. But the two examples I want to talk to you about today are to do with capturing domestic demand. So in developing economies, people are getting richer, which is because they have more cash to spend, and they have more cash to spend on stuff, which, as we've established, is what people like. They like stuff. But those markets aren't always well supplied at the moment. And we see this as a big opportunity. We can build the supply chain infrastructure, in particular for Western suppliers who don't necessarily know how to enter those markets themselves and generate their own supply chain. So I'm going to talk about one from Moscow here. Did anybody here have a toy as a child? Oh, there's a man who had his hand up. What was your favourite toy? Your battle action figure. Batman action figure. Fantastic. And who bought you this toy? Your parents, because they loved you. I think you'll find your experience is not unique. Most people's parents love their children, and so they love to buy them toys, especially if they've got spare cash. And this goes true in Russia. Toy market's growing very, very fast in Russia, particularly in the Moscow area. Certain well-known Western toy manufacturer, who should remain nameless, wanted to put their own stock holding in Moscow because they weren't getting their products, their toys, to the market fast enough. The demand was there, but they couldn't get it into the shops fast enough. So they asked us to help. The thing that made it difficult was they expected that supply chain, that stock holding, to also be able to supply them with all the information, the market information they had. So when the orders came in from the stores, we would tell them how many of particular toys are being sold in what shop. And that meant putting in a first-class system. A first-class system that integrated into their Western system. But it also had to comply with all the local rules and regulations, which I'm sure the organisers of this event will vouch for. Doesn't always make it easy to do business in Moscow. We did. So it wasn't easy, but it was something that our competition found very difficult to do. This was an opportunity we created. We went to the customer and said, we can do this for you. We can give you this information. They weren't expecting us to give them that information. Nothing particularly difficult in terms of the technology. We're not inventing anything here. But we're being innovative in terms of the market opportunity that we're capturing. Who here likes beer? I'm asking students if they like beer. Of course you like beer.
Yeah.
They like beer in Central Africa as well. They really like beer in Central Africa. And the market is growing really, really fast. Typically, the traditional way the market is supplied is via wholesalers. What that means is brewers, the companies who actually make beer, lose track of their data. They lose track of their data, so they're not sure whether there's more opportunity to sell their beer or not. So we gave them that opportunity. You can see this is one of my colleagues over here on the right. These crates here, they're not full beer bottles. The full beer bottles are stored inside warehouses. The empty beer bottles that are stored out the warehouse. These pictures are from Ghana. Anybody from Ghana here today? Do you drink beer? Oh, yeah! The chances are, the beer you drink in Ghana, we're delivering it to you. Okay? This is, again, it's just capturing the opportunity. These brewers are now owned by large Western brewing companies, and they want that information. Before, it just used to get delivered via a wholesaler. The brewer didn't know what he was losing track of it as soon as it got to the wholesaler. Wasn't easy, but we did. Now I want to talk about example. We've got corporate responsibility on this afternoon, I think. Will is talking about corporate responsibility. So probably beer not a great product to talk about in terms of corporate responsibility, but healthcare is. In Turkey, anybody here from Turkey? Good. Love it. I don't get this reaction when I normally talk. This is like Glastonbury, it's excellent. Okay, so the drugs. Okay, drug manufacturers make drugs, and they need to go to people who need drugs, people who aren't very well, people who are sick. Okay? The problem is that they go via pharmacies. Normally you get your prescription for your drugs from a pharmacy. And in Turkey, the government pays for the prescription. Turkish citizens here, I'm sure, can verify that. So effectively, the pharmacy sends the government an invoice, says, I want my money from the government for this prescription. The government was concerned that the pharmacy might have been giving one set of drugs to the patient and sending two sets of invoices to the government. So the government wanted to ensure that the drugs that were being supplied into the market and that they were paying for by prescription were actually going to the right people. So what they said was, drug manufacturers, you have to put a code against every packet of drugs you prescribe, and then we won't pay the pharmacy unless the pharmacy gives us the same code again. Packets of drugs are typically quite small. The number you need in order to generate a unique number is quite low, even in barcoded form. So in order to be able to generate a label that you can stick on a single packet of drugs, we use 2D barcodes. This is old technology, quite old technology, but the application is new here. So we For drug manufacturers who are doing small runs, it's very expensive for them to invest in all the equipment. So to do the messaging, to buy the 2D label printing equipment, and then to build the necessary equipment to scan it and send the information off to the government. So we made that investment. We took a risk. We made the investment, and then we sold the service back to the drug manufacturers selling it on a price per item basis. The service is innovative. It's commercially innovative. And it's now our most profitable business in Turkey. And there's a picture of one of our ladies, very high percentage of females in our workforce in Turkey, labouring. It wasn't easy, and we had to take some risks. And the top guys at Deutsche Post DHL were a little concerned about the risk we were taking and the upfront investment, but we got it done. Now it's a great business. So I hope I've given you 3 great examples there of innovation which isn't about inventing some new gadget. And I hope you feel that you can do the same. What you have to bear in mind is that if you're going to come up with a new idea and you're going to sell it, somebody needs to invest in it, you have to be able to build it, and there has to be something that wants to do. So that's all I've got to say today. Has anybody got any questions for me? Do you all feel like you can innovate? Okay, I think that's to be it, Phil. Thank you very much.